Okay, let's see what we got here today. I hope everybody can hear me all right. And just let me sit down for a moment. Sorry I haven't been around lately. I still have it. I had some kind of flu, which I amplified by going out at night. It was windy and cold and all that crap. Windy now. It's warm. It's like 50-something degrees. But hot past 2 days, I'd say. Listen, I want to talk to you. I want to tell you a story. Oh, So I got to move it along because I don't know if I'll get out of breath or start to cough or sneeze on you. But I want to talk about linears, amplifiers somewhat. Listen, what you're seeing right there is an RM, right? 503. And that's a high drive right there, HD. So all that means is it takes, I don't know, 8, 10 watts to make it run, in my opinion, to its efficiency. 12 watts, it can handle it. It can handle a lot more, but you're not going to get anything of value out the backside of it. The only thing you're going to do is overheat it. So what I do is I always have it on high, but I control it off the radios, the power I'm putting out. So I've made certain adjustments on certain radios where they run just a little bit more. I'm not a power guy. I don't have to be. And if I drop the camera, which I'll show you later, is a Texas Star here that I bought in the 1990s. It's a 100, okay? And it's very small, and it still runs like brand new. I don't overpower these things. That will run on 4 watts. Perfectly 5. Yeah, and maybe you can get away scratching 6 into it, and it'll give you 125 watts, but I make a habit of not doing that. So I try to keep that for the older radio. And then on the desk, I have a Thunderbolt 101, which is a 100-watt tube amp from the 80s, and it still works fine. It'll give you 100 watts no matter what you do to it. And it withstands some punishment, not that I ever have, but I know by, cleaning it, looking at it, and whatever. So that's what I'm running. And what am I putting into it? Not much. I don't want to put much in. I don't want to stress the radio. I don't want to stress the amp. So when I turn around and I fire up usually, and some of the radios you see me running, I'm running 9 watts, 10 watts into that RM. And that's running at full potential. We can handle that. 8, well, yeah, I can get away with 8. Run pretty good, but I keep it in the high mode, and it's my power. When it comes to running that, since it's a high drive with the old radios, which are 4 and 5 watts, it's hard. I can get 100 watts out of it, and that's about it. So, I also have one of those 203. What are the RM 203s? Yeah, mine doesn't have a amp in it, though, receive amp. Those are nice amps, 80 watts. That, to me, is pushing it. But you got to remember, yeah, go ahead and push it more. See, this is what I'm getting at. You can push anything as hard as you want. But there's going to be a negative effect. Again, radios today, the circuit boards are thin, and these high power radios, nah. If that's your intention is to run at 60, 80, 100 watts all the time, good luck. You're far better off getting it tuned down or tuning it down yourself down to 10 watts, getting a high drive or, whatever you're going to do, and just settle with that, and don't keep pushing on things because it does go in the line. So those radios will burn out quick with that kind of power. I think I've discussed that before with people. Some people don't like my thoughts and matters, but to me they're realistic. And the other thing I'll say is that what am I doing wrong? I still have my stuff. It's old. It works. I don't burn it up because I think everything through in the mathematical part. And yeah, sure, everybody makes mistakes. I make them too. Not as many as Glenn, but you only need so much. And once you hit the honey pot or the gravy spot, that's where you should stay. Your stuff will last forever. But if you want to push things and see what you can get away with, well, don't buy your linears. Okay, I want to tell a story. I'll probably link it all together, and we'll let the editor work it out. You know, growing up in the 1960s, we had tube radios. When I was about 12 years old, I already had a few radios and such. I think I was operating a Ringo antenna on CD, which is just nothing more than a aluminium pole, going straight up with a tuning rod, circle below it. And it was okay. Everybody wanted an amplifier. I mean, we were running 5 watts, 23 channel, tube radios. And if you're a kid, well, you got to work for your stuff. Or, like, I knew some folks that they had very expensive radios as kids, but their parents were dentists and doctors, whatever. Most of my close friends, though, you know, yeah, we bought our radios, or we got money towards them and saved it. We worked hard. Everybody wanted to have power. My cousin was 2 years older than me. It's about 14. Now, in the junior high school, where I went to junior high school, I'd been there before and been all through the building. My uncle ran it. And they had a tank radio from the Korean War, like brand new. And they had a base set that went with it also, that I guess went along with the commanders and, you know, had more options. And they wanted rid of it. The guy that had gotten it, the science teacher, retired. And nobody wanted to mess with it, so they decided to get rid of it. My uncle got it for free. Took it all home. And I had seen it at the school. It was locked away in this, interesting place that was well hidden in the science area, and marveled at it. And here, all of a sudden, I get over to my cousin's house, and here it is in the boiler room. And they lived in an apartment house, but they ran that too. So here was this massive collection of military grade, radios, and all workable. It was a 24-volt system. The radios had crazy pins on them, and, you know, like later on in the military, I would say, sorry for that, that's the gang in the background. But anyway, my cousin, after a week or so or two, he said, I want to show you something or whatever, and I went over there. A distance away, but it was always easy. And he's showing me the radio, and, you know, then he's showing me, which I immediately looked at, and I said, is that a radio amp? And he goes, yeah, this is a linear amplifier. Wow, he has 24 volts. But he said, I can bypass this and run this. And he had already had it apart. I mean, very smart. Had always taken summer courses. I did too, but he was way smarter than me. And he said, yeah, we can run this. I said, well, we can run it on what? And he says, well, you know, we can run it on CB. It's low band. You know, the whole tank system is low band. And it's true. That's what it was. And I said, yeah. He said, well, I can't do it here. We got to get 2 batteries anyway. 2 good 12-volt batteries, so we can make 24 volts. And he said, I can't do it here because I said, he had on his antenna 100 feet of that U58, if you know what I'm talking about. I mean, it is thinner than a pencil. Dang, you know, people use it in vehicles and such, maybe 20, 30-foot runs. And you could use it at home, but you can't run power on that at all, especially at 100 feet. Oh, my God. So he said, yeah, I can't do that. And I said, I ain't doing that at home. He said, nah. So he says, but Ed, and now Ed is still a friend of mine, too, and he lived just, you could see Ed's house from the apartment door. But he had some nice equipment. He worked and helped his father in the business, family business. He had money. Now, he's 12 years old. He's my age. So he had 2 courier base stations, the newest ones, tube setup, 23 channel, heavy gauge U58, U8 antenna cable, and he had a Avante, okay, Starduster 8400 on his roof. The only one around that I knew about him that one. So he was game for it. Oh yeah. He lived upstairs in this big house with, you know, with parents. We had sisters, and he had a nice radio room. And so my goal was to get a 12-volt battery, and he was going to take one out of his father's Mercedes or whatever they had. and nice cars, Audis, and all kinds of crazy stuff. Great location for radio too. But anyway, um, we were going to hook it into his system, or they were. I didn't know. To be honest, quite honest, I don't think Eddie knew shit either. Excuse my language. But until, as I asked my father, he had a couple 12-volt batteries. He said, yeah, you sure you can borrow one. Bring it back, and yeah, what are you doing? And I said, well, we're messing with that tank radio. And he said, oh, yeah. He says, yeah, you don't want this one. He said, look, I gotta get down by work anyway. So he said, look, I stopped by the garage there, the police garage. And he said, we always got them on charge. I keep them on charge down there. And he said, you can borrow, and these are heavy duty car batteries in the 60s. These are lead acid batteries. You can put, acid in them. And they did that, it's just part of the dig. I've done it. So I said, yeah, sure. He said, yeah, but I want them back today, and I want them back on it. I said, yeah, okay. This is only a quarter mile from the police station, downhill. Yeah, somewhere around there. So we ride down there. He puts them in the back of the trunk of it's unmarked police car, and we ride up there, and we unload him. He gives me instructions. He makes me show him, using the cables and jumpers, how to make 24 volts out of 12, and how you're going to hook these things. So he feels okay on that. He says, yeah, give me a call. So, okay. And cousin shows up, and we get both those batteries in there. Because my cousin brought some car battery or whatever, teeny thing. And we hooked that up. My cousin saw this and that. We're going to do this, and we're going to do that. Well, listening as I'm reading, I'm trying to figure out the actual power. But it looks like to me it's a kilowatt. Okay. So this is the base station. It's a big, heavy thing. This thing weighs like 70 pounds, 80 pounds out. And we have to bring it up, all those flights up. Yeah, anyway. So in the house, but we hooked that up there. Cousin got it hooked to the radio to one of them fancy brand new couriers. And he turns it on, and man, there's the receiver. Wow. He goes, here we go. Well, we started to transmit there, and I don't know what happened or what he had done to tune that thing to the wattage. I have no idea what went on. But it appeared that, he was being heard, it was just like amazing to me. I'm there listening to this. And that goes on for a short time, and then he fires up one time and he's saying something to somebody on, down in New York City, which is impossible, well, it's a good location. And then all of a sudden there was this crackle noise. The radio smoked, smoke came out of the amplifier, and we heard a thumping on the roof. That was the antenna melting and falling down. So if you say that you can't melt an antenna, I sit here to tell you different. You can. So what's the moral of the story? The moral of the story is we didn't know what the hell we were doing. And all it was about was, it wasn't me. I mean, I just, I'm interested, but I wouldn't have done it on my own. So power, more power. And the only thing you do with more power is, when you get in that mode or thinking like that you're going to run on a CD, that kind of power. It was like just, I look back at that and have to laugh. Because we ran 100 watts back then. That was a big deal for us. Okay? That door something is the wind blowing through the house. Let the window go. So I wanted to tell you that story. So I guess the key point is my father got the battery. I called him. He came down. We took the battery. We looked out on the roof. We went out on the roof. Actually, to be honest with you, get out on the window on the subroof, and then, we looked at that, and there was no antenna. I mean, it just the coax had melted, and it was that heavy grade stuff. So, I learned a lot from that. I don't think they did, though, to be quite honest with you. I think that was just a stepping stone for them. But I learned a lot, and I still have my stuff. They don't. Because they too had fun with things. So there's no reason to push things to a point that you don't need to. That's all I'm saying. It's every time you add power or more power, your system becomes different. I don't care what you say to me, it will become different. And there's days where it's not going to work for you. You're going to bleed over on people. And at the same time, you're going to destroy each piece of equipment, especially if you're just running these radios at maximum power. So if I was to swing around and show you, my other side here, and I can tell you, without swinging the camera, I don't want to get up on lazy as hell. My Lincoln 2 Plus runs about 12 watts max. Radio outage, about the same thing, maybe 13. Yeti tone, yeah, 13, 12, somewhere around here I can make it run. This, my Galaxy DX950, yeah, about 10, 11, somewhere around here. Done some work. The 2547 base station, yeah, about 12, 13, could be 30, but I ain't gonna do it. Okay, I already made it 12. And to me, that's pushing the limit on these boards today, even in that radio. That's how I feel. So this is way too long. I'm probably sorry for all that I've said. Yeah, I don't want to insult anybody. I just want to point out the raw facts. All mathematics. I know a lot of us don't do math well. I'm one of them, but I always consider it just geometry. And the thing about geometry is it's science, and it's not a hit or miss. Well, it is a hit or miss. Either you're on or you're off. You're not allowed to miss stuff. It's not going to work for you. So when you do that and you start to look at graphs and what's going to happen and understand the value of power after the first, say, 10 watts versus 100, yeah, there's a little bit different. But how much do you need to get up into the ionosphere to get supercharged and blow around? That's the real question in the end. How much do you need to get done what you want? You have the right antenna to do that. Run that kind of power. What's the reflective value of that transmission with your antenna against everything that's also at the same time absorbing differently at different times of the year? How do you figure all that in? Don't mind them, they're just communicating. I'm just not feeling up to run the radios today. So I wanted to share that with you. Maybe there'll be some editing involved, which is fine, of course. But again, things are made to run a certain way. And I also put it down as, okay, in my garage, I got a car. It says 160 on it. So I know people tell me to do 172. The only problem with it is, get up about 140, it starts to sweat. So maybe I can get that out of it, but at what cost? Yeah. So listen, I'm here to save you some money and some agony. Pay attention to what you're running, to what and where it's going. And if you're splashing, you're making too much power, and it's sort of splashing all over the place. Your modulation's overdriving your power. Because everybody's like, okay, you gotta have good mod. Damn straight you do. But that mod, simulation, if it's too much, it's just you'll see it in your amp. You'll see it. Wow, look at my amp. But in the end, are you overdriving one thing to the other, and know what you're doing. Yeah. Don't become part of the tank club there. And of course there my friend was out of a brand new radio, a Courier 23. He was also out that antenna and that cable. And I guess that was it. Wasn't that enough? He was 12 like me. So, but again, he just, recouped from that and went back to it. Yeah. But I always remember them. It was always we can get this and do that. It's like the power is useless to you all in the MK because you didn't have the radios. Always remember that. You didn't have the radios. But it's just what it is. So that's another story too. But now I got to let that go because I've been dribbling on. I probably got a dead battery and I got to unload that. And remember, I got the Ghost. got nicknames from hanging out in the cemetery with a radio, Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. Had some nice high spots in it. Can't touch them, remember. So everything's for a reason, right? Yeah. Before I go, let me do this. Can I do that? Yeah. Okay. There it is, a dusty Texas Star 100, which runs like a champ. And over here, it's that power supply I bought in 1990. Okay, that pyramid, we do about 22 amps. Behind is a household current linear amplifier, Thunderbolt 101, 1988. Right, two-tuber. It works. And it's forgiving, but I only use it in the cold weather. So there you go. I have others too. But I just want to tell you, I just run enough to kick the amp, make it work the way it's supposed to. And that's it. I'm not trying to overdrive or underdrive. All right. Do what choose on the side.